And we live. Let's just give it a second. Let a few people get in here. Get them to share that out a bit.
Yeah,
Can you hear me good?
yeah, hear you just fine.
All right. Sounds perfect then. I'll send this link to a few people so they can start sharing it.
Let me grab a drink while you guys doing that.
Sure. We'll get it started. Welcome. If you're tapping in, do me a favor. Can you share this out? We're gonna get things started in a few. In the meantime, while we get ready to roll, man, drop your kennel name, where you located in the comments. We'll bring that up on the screen. Derek, what's good, bro? Share it for me, Derek. Get some reactions, likes, hearts. Let's share this out a little bit so it can rotate. We can bring some people in before we get the conversation started with Bashar. Derek, what's your kennel, man? Where you from? Drop y'all kennel name and where y'all are located before we get this started. Give me some thumbs up, some hearts. Cost you nothing, but the reactions go a long way for me to getting this message out there. So please like, heart, and share. Unless you feel you're too good for that, then just watch then. But anyways, Derek, I appreciate you for dropping the comment, man. Bro, I hope everything going good on your end. I haven't heard from you in a while. The conversation like this one, no, this conversation don't have anything to do with that. Those conversations and topics like the ones that's been going on for the past week call for a stack off between Bashar and Khan. No, this conversation is nothing like that. This is called PED Talk. PED stands for pedigree, man. We're gonna get into why I reached out to Bashar to bring him onto the platform, and it has nothing to do with what's going on this week. Bashar has Muscle Tone Bully. It's a great program, and he's never been on the show. So it was about time that I reached out to him. So with that being said, we just gonna segue into it. Bashar, man, a lot of people know you, but still, can you please introduce yourself, your kennel, and what you've done in this game?
Sure. Bashar, Muscle Bullies, muscletonebullies.com for those who want to go look up the website if you don't already know it. 26 years of breeding, since even before the American Bully was founded as a name, when we were still breeding pit bulls, I started. And I created a line called the Muscle Tone line. Took years, took 6 different strains of pit bulls and staffy bulls and pit bulls, although they're all the same, technically, pretty much the same breed, kind of. Brought them all together, contrary to what everyone thinks, never used any bulldogs. Any bulldog gene that would be in the dogs that we have today would have to come years and years before I even touched those dogs, if it was in there. And that's because when they used to fight dogs, they used to mix terriers and bulldogs. That's what pit bull terrier name came from. So it was just pretty much breeding genetics, doing the best we can to get the looks that we want. And for those who don't understand, and they will never understand, it was very difficult. What we've done to you guys, a very easy line of dogs to work with. You can make bullies almost every single time you breed. When in those days, we'd have to have 2 or 3 litters just to get one dog you can call maybe a bully. And in today's standard, I wouldn't even call them a bully, which are known as classics for most people today. So, yeah, so let's give you a little brief idea. If you want to know more, sorry, they're cutting the grass outside. Landscapers come on Fridays.
We can hear you good, though.
Yeah, all right, good. So, anyhow, to simplify things, if you guys just go to YouTube and go to the Muscle Tone Bullies page and just follow us, there's 50 some episodes. We're going to keep adding more as they go along, as our history goes along. And I'll give you the whole history from day one, how we started, the first few dogs, the program. It's a very, very interesting episodes that you guys can watch, and then we continue on to the present day where we show you how we market, the things that we do to bring, introduce the bully to the world. So how we grow our company too.
Thank you for the intro. Hey, with that, man, we're gonna drop this intro, and we're gonna get right into things with the conversation. So check it out.
He know what she know. It's Gino and Fino. He know what she know. It's Gino and Fino. It's that pet talk. It's that pet talk. Yeah. It's that pet talk.
All right, Bashar, so this is Pet Talk. I definitely want to get into the pedigree and the science behind your breeding and what's there and how did you basically get to where you are today, which you claim is the only extreme American bully line in this breed. So can you tell us how you started and how you end up taking this direction to get here?
Sure. To start, most people don't know because they weren't around. So the reason the American Bully even exists is because the AKC and the UKC and the ABPT, which were the registries that, for those who know in America, used to register these dogs, back in the day, refused our dogs in the ranks. They allowed us our paperwork. They allowed us to breed for some reason, even though they discouraged us from breeding. But they allowed us paperwork because they were making money on it. But when we showed up to the shows, our dogs were overdone. Okay. Won't live long and this and that and blah, blah, blah. All lies, by the way. All lies. My first dog that I had was 21 inches tall. His name was Simba. It's my first produced dog. Not the first dog I had, but the first produced dog. And he lived to 19 years old. And I was told, even by vets, that he would die by 7. He was too big for the breed. He was 134 pounds. And he had a 26.5-inch head, which is not really big considering today's day for a 21-inch tall dog, in my opinion. I have that on 13-inch dogs. But in that era, that was considered huge, okay? Because most dogs had a 20-inch head and they were sitting at 21 inches tall. Because technically, you guys remember that pit bulls don't have, massive wide bodies. So they're very narrow in the front. And when they're narrow in the front, their head appears big even at 20-some inches or 21 or 22 inches. 23 was considered a giant head. So 26 was extremely giant. But there were some out there, not many, but there was some. So when we start reaching dogs that are like in the 13, 14, well, 13 was very rare. And we had a couple, but mostly 14, 15, even 16-inch. That was really incredible. And people really gravitated to that a lot more. Not everyone. There's always people stuck in the old days who wanted their XLs and their standards. But
around what time, around what year would you say that started to go down to those inches?
I would say 2008, 2007. Okay. Just around when the shorty bull movement started to become a thing. When people couldn't produce short dogs, they start mixing with Frenchies trying to make pockets. And that's when the shorty bull concept came to be, even though it didn't really make it far. It was kind of like a come and go a couple years type of thing. But we already had those short dogs. There was a rumor going around that there's only 7 14-inch dogs in the world. And then I had to make a video back in the day, and I had 12 of them in my yard. And I was like, there's no way there's only 7. That's 12 right here, And I've sold some too. So that's when the dogs start going from the XL to small dogs. So I started getting rid of the older stock, keeping very few things from it. I had to pretty much restart to get shorter dogs because a lot of my dogs were giving length and longer legs on my pockets. But the concept of what I did is I didn't worry about bloodlines because the truth is nobody had a bloodline. Dave was considered a bloodline or getting close to a bloodline at the time in the beginning days because he had a lot of generations in his pedigree. But they pretty much all stemmed from the same 2-3 dogs, right? Paddington, and all that. So there was Gray Line that was considered a line. I would say it was a line also at the time because it had so many generations. But again, it stemmed from the same dog over and over again. It was almost like everyone was building off 1 or 2 dogs. And eventually when you do that, you run into a dead end. And that's why none of them were able to evolve long term. they had to outcross sooner or later. And eventually, everything has to outcross. But I had to do it in a way where I can go long term with it, like very long time without needing anyone else. And I wanted to do it for two reasons. The first reason, it was never about building a line. I couldn't care less about that. I was never a person who chased like popularity, like, oh, look what I did, blah blah. That was never in the back of my mind. There was two things in my mind. Number one, I got to create the dog the way I want it to look because I put it in my head, and when I put something in my head, it has to be done, just like I do with my houses, my cars, whatever I touch.
Bashar, I
I
got
have
a
a
question
vision.
that pop up for you. If you don't mind, it's a good question for you. What is your definition of a bloodline?
A definition of a bloodline, number one, is a consistent look for at least 6 generations, top and bottom. And more importantly, that is strained from more than 4 different strains of other lines or other types of dogs. Let's just put it that way. At least 4. I think it should be 6. And the majority of people didn't have that, and they still don't have it. A lot of people today are considered bloodlines and let them have it because they've been around for 20 some years. Only used one line. They never veered from it. Or only used one types of dogs, and they all come down from the same male.
Mm,
So my concept, what I did was took all the money I had, took a loan out, and I toured the country at first, including Canada, counting Canada in there. And I bought adult dogs because the first time I did this, I spent, I can't remember how many thousands, but I bought a bunch of pups and none of them turned out. None of them, not one. I gave them away. Thousands of dollars, I just gave them away for free. So I was like, screw this. I need to know what I'm working with. So I went around and I bought adult dogs. Nobody was buying adult dogs. That wasn't the thing you did, you know. You bought
okay.
pup, you know. So, and she's not for sale. I got 20K that she is. Oh, shit. All right, take the dog, right? So I developed a reputation really quick. There's this dude going around spending big dough on dogs. So everybody was calling me, oh, I got this vision. 99% had nothing and they were calling me. They had nothing. They just wanted money.
Right, right.
So I've made a lot of trips to see nothing and pissed me off really bad, you know. But this is before, you know, cameras on phones, the way we have today where you can see something live and
Right.
blah, blah, blah. Before Facebook, before all of that stuff. This is early 2000s, you know. But anyway, at the end of the day, I finally got enough dogs to work with. Most of them didn't produce right away. They had to be worked through generations to finally get what you want out of them.
Mm-hmm.
And the final part of the puzzle was Dax when he was bred to Stella. I had everything I wanted, and I thought I had it complete when I had Stella and everything like that in the yard. And then I saw Dax, and I was like,
One
man.
second. Where did Stella come from?
So Stella came from Gray Line, Corrupt, some Edge, some Midwest Monster. I mean, there was like 5 different types of dogs in Stella. There was a bunch of stuff. So Stella came off of a breeding I did with Denzel at the time, and Denzel was bred to Princess, who was off of Mia, who was bred off of Princess, who was off of Corrupt, and Pink Champel, which is some Pee Wee stuff. I mean, it goes way back. Yeah. So when I finally had Stella, I was like, you know, this is the look I want. I wanted everything to look like Stella. Wide chest, big bone, perfectly structured, 13 inches, freaking monster, all muscle. Then I saw Dax, and I'm like, man, that is a pretty dog. Now, Dax was not perfect by any means.
What year is this, Bashar, at this time when you finally come across Dax?
09? I think 09. Dax was young.
Okay.
I don't even think he was a year, maybe less, 10 months.
So you made a lot of progress in that 1 year from 08 to 09. You made a lot of progress.
Well, I was already where I needed to be in 09. I felt I was there. Like I threw a show in 08 or 09 in Europe, and I've had like 100 and some dogs, muscle tone produced in that show that came from all over Europe and the United States, and they were all monster. And I remember it was the first show, ABKC show ever thrown in Europe. And I remember Dave came and he goes, and Cruz came, I think, also at that time. I think he was still part of the group, and I think so. I can't remember. And some other people. And I remember all of them saying, I've never seen that many extreme bulls in one ring. We're all muscle tone. We're already at the extreme. We already had the substance. What I didn't have, and I didn't know that it even mattered at the time because the vision hadn't hit my head, was prettiness, right? So when I saw Dax, those eyes, Dax wasn't perfect. Had a slight underbite, narrow in the rear, high in the rear, stiff, which it did pass on through my generations once I used him because I never had that stuff before. But he was worth it to me, and everyone tried to talk me against it. But he was worth it to me, and he created Magoo with Stella. So it was a great breeding, and I think that is the day I was like, okay, this is the look. Now every now and then you go back to the older look, more of the pink champale, the Pee Wee stuff, and you come back with some of the Dax look. And the reason you go back and forth is because it's running through the gene pool and all my dogs. Background. And this that tells you that I've never hung papers because you'll see something that looks like Stella, even though it's 14 generations down the road. You'll see something that looks like Pee Wee, 17, 18 generations down the road. And you'll see something that looks like Dax generations down the road. So
what do you say? What do you say, and how do you respond to the people who say, "Yo, Muscle Tone definitely got some bulldog in there somewhere"? Have you heard that?
I tell them they don't know. They don't know anything. They've never produced anything. They don't know how to produce anything. So for them to have an opinion means absolutely nothing to me.
Have you heard that before?
I hear it all the time. They accused me of this in 2011, 2012. They said Magoo was half bulldog, even though he was DNAP. Dax is DNAP. I bought Romeo to prove to people that Dax is off of Romeo.
Ah.
So I owned Romeo till he passed. So it was just to prove to people through DNA that he was Dax's dad, So it was like the nonsense goes on and on. Now, what is Romeo off of? I don't know because I didn't own Romeo when he was born. I owned him, when he already had produced Dax. So I don't know who his parents were not DNA'd by me. But I don't think Romeo was off no bulldog, even though he was a weird looking dog. He was still a big boy. But at the end of the day, I have never used a bulldog. I have never produced dogs with bulldog underbites, bulldog tails, or any of that stuff. I live in Florida, bro. It's winter right now. It's 90-some degrees outside. I've posted video after video of my dogs, even back in the day when I was in Michigan. 100 degrees outside, 95 degrees outside, 98. Just they're baking in the sun outside, bro. They don't care. They're not affected. And the reason for it is my dogs don't have smashed faces with underbites like most of these dogs do. They don't have issues with their palates. They don't have issues with their lungs. They don't have issues with their thyroids, which cause them breathing issues clearly because they're overweight and their thyroids function slow, so they can't breathe properly. So a lot of these dogs out there, people they think they have something cool, but when I look at a dog, it's very different when they look at a dog. I see things they couldn't even start to think about. And that's years of experience and studying and knowing things. So for me, when I hear these people like, "Oh, dude, you don't even know what it takes to get here. How could you possibly know what I've done?" Where
did your spread come from at the time when spread wasn't there like that?
Spread was always there. We used to stack dogs in 2000. We used to spread them out wide. Okay. First of all, bulldogs don't have spread. Just start with that. Okay. Any dog lacking spread most likely has bulldog in it if he carries bone, because bulldogs are narrow in the chest. They have no spread. That's why they walk like this. They have no spread.
What did you do to separate yourself as the extreme kennel?
Well, the most important part of my aspect when I start breeding is front chest, because when we were not allowed to show in the UKC, ABKC, etc., we did barbecues, we did stack-offs. And stack-offs were always from the front. Nobody cared about anything else. There's all these wide dogs. We stood them up. We spread them out. They overspread them. That's before people understood that the shoulder distance doesn't change no matter how you spread them. So they would look at the elbows, which is not correct. They would overspread them, but whatever. They would just stack from the front. And the dog with the widest chest would win. So of course we accounted for bone, but very rarely. We mostly accounted for chest. That was the number one thing. That was what made a dog stand out from the other. You had a dog with a wide chest and a big head, everybody was looking at your dog because that was very rare. So that's what gave birth to the American Bully, in my opinion. It was the wow factor, which is something that everyone uses today. But if you go back and look in 2007, 2008, I had a post and I said, the purpose of the breed is a wow factor. No one had used that term before me, and it started to be a term afterwards. The wow factor is what makes this breed. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's a companion breed." Yeah, okay, fine. It's a companion breed because it doesn't have a purpose as like in a working dog or hunting dog or whatever, but nevertheless, the purpose of the breed is a wow factor. It's like a Louis Vuitton purse. All right, let's just be honest. At the end of the day, it's prestige. That's what the marketing behind this breed is from day one. That's what attracts the type of people that are attracted to it in the beginning. Knowing that is what allowed me to hit the market and make the sales I did. It's the way you market it in that aspect. Of course, you have to produce a healthy dog. You can't just make a Louis Vuitton purse that's gonna zipper's gonna rip on it the second you buy it for $5,000, right? So it's got to be solid. It's got to be well done. So all of these things came into the equation, building the pedigree. Now, chest spread was always there. There was many dogs with chest spread. Corrupt had crazy chest spread. Even Ron Gotti had crazy chest spread. Look at Ron Gotti pictures. He had no bone. Had a weird looking head. He was wide as hell. So those dogs all had chest spread. They lacked bone. Pee-wee had bone. The bone came from Pee-wee. Most of the bone did come from Pee-wee. And who else? Head sizes. Head sizes came from the Rock and Ruby mix. Most of those big heads came from the Rock and Ruby mix that I have in my blood. So if you're talking about rears came from the Gray Line. Gray Line had the best freaking rears. Amazing rears. Every time I look at my dogs, I remember some of the Gray Line dogs I bought. Even though Corrupt had a great rear too, but it also came from Gray Line because he had Gray Line in him as well. What else? Some of the shorter backs and the good top lines on the dogs, they came from the Razor Edge stuff. Although a lot of that stuff was narrow in the back, that Gray Line allowed me to widen the front to match the wide fronts, widen the rears to match the wide fronts I had. So there was a lot of things. We can go on and on. Like I said, watch the YouTube videos. I explain all this. So it all came together into almost the ideal dog when Magoo came. And then there was a lot of tweaking to do. And the tweaking stopped with Bean, because Bean, Apollo, Blue, Smeagol, all these dogs were technically almost perfect, almost flawless. No dog's perfect, but almost flawless, that carried the wow extreme factor. So the next step is, if you watch any of my Facebook stuff in the day, we'll go back to it, still posted in 2017, 18. I said, now, then they asked me what the next step was. I said, now I need to go bigger. I need to start over. So I'm going to lose some conformation. I'm going to lose some attributes, and then I'll fix it again in 3 years. And it's exactly what I did. And that was the birth of Nemesis, the birth of Beanstalk, the birth of Yuki, the birth of all these monster dogs that nobody could possibly stack to, even females that no one can stack to, that were overdone. Again, just like my first dogs, that were flawed, that people talk shit about, but it doesn't matter. They're brute stock. That's what it takes to go to the next level. And being Beanstalk, being the best one of them all, maybe not the biggest, I would say, as an overall, yes, the biggest, but Yuki's bigger, but the best producer. I mean, he produced extreme. No matter what you breed him to a Chihuahua, you're gonna get an extreme dog out of him, and that's been proven. So was he perfect? No. He had some weak attributes, but he was healthy. He can run, he can jump, he can handle the heat. He's super healthy, but he has some flaws. It is what it is. No dog's perfect, but he produced dogs like Stax, King Kong, and the list goes on. I posted, I think, 60, 70 dogs off of Beanstalk a few years back, when his total offsprings were only 80. And all of them were freaking incredible. And all of them were clean and better than him. So, and I don't know how many champions and grand champions he has under his belt, 28, 30, something like that. And not everyone shows their dog. So it's, so for people to talk crap about Beanstalk, oh, look at his eye separation. So what? He'll still outstack your dog. He'll still make your dog look like a little bitch next to him. So why are you talking about his eyes? I mean, you already know what happened here when you guys took your best dog that was winning all the stack offs and he showed up here and he looked like the size of his head.
You guys,
so let's not talk about eyes when you got, and especially coming from someone whose latest dog has the same exact eyes, which is a weird coincidence. So it is what it is.
Question for you, Bashar. I got to ask you a serious question. I got you on here. You told me you're an open book. And anything that I heard floating around that hits me, I just want to bring it to you while you're here.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've heard, well, you've heard, I'm sure you have, that people say, hey, the overseas muscle tone is not what Bashar is doing. And they've taken it and they've done it much better than the muscle tone that happens in Bashar's yard. What's your response to that?
One, that makes absolutely no sense, because nothing gets done without my permission. Two, everything is guided, and that's why we rotate our dogs all the way across. So what one kennel does and another kennel does are all different, and that's the way we keep our strains going, so we don't run into a dead end. And then dogs come here, dogs go there, and on, and it keeps moving. So the idea that they say that is kind of ridiculous, to be honest. That tells me that it's not a question of loving the. I appreciate they said. I'm gonna tell you why I appreciate it. That tells me that they love my dogs. They don't like me. So as long as they can separate me from my dogs, they're willing to say something positive. And I'm okay with that. I don't care if you like me.
That's a bar.
As long as the business keeps rolling.
So right now, man, what it's a lot of, I guess, kind of back and forth. We kind of see this every couple of years, man. In my opinion, you and Khan or whatever, Rocco, Muscle Tone. In my opinion, I think the two bloods together creates a balance. And as my kennel partner would call it, like a peanut butter and jelly. But it seems that the two of you don't believe that y'all blood should cross or mix, or am I
I never
missing?
said that.
Okay,
I
you
never
never
said that.
said that, so I apologize for putting it in your
I,
mind.
I'm not I'm not a I'm not a closed-minded person to what people want to try. I tell when people contact me all the time, I got this. I give them my opinion. I'm not God, brother. I don't know everything. Okay. Although I know quite a bit and I know how my dogs work, I would say one every 20 breedings, I miscalculate. You know, maybe less than that, one every 30 now. But it's that number has decreased along the years. And it's not because I gotten smarter, it's because my dog's gotten better. Okay. Um, it is not to say that it's not possible for someone to cross the two dogs and hit a home run. It's very possible. Okay. For me, for where I've gone and the level of dogs I sell, it is not worth the risk for three reasons. One, I've already seen what some of these dogs carry behind them, genetic defect wise. It's not something I want in my bloodline. It took me a
Do you
long
have
time to clear it out.
do
I
you
don't want
have
to bring it
proof
back.
like that? Do you have proof? Because you're kind of talking like health ish. Do you have like evidence to say something like that about someone's blood?
First of all, I haven't said anyone in particular, but you
Okay.
guys can look. You guys can look that up on your own. How long are these dogs living? I mean, Magoo's alive, Apollo's alive, Claw's alive, Bean's alive. You know, Blues is alive. I can name the list goes on. Beanstalk is almost 10 years old this year. Nemesis is 10 years old this year. Are those dogs still alive? You're asking me a stupid question, to be honest. You already know the answer just by looking around you, unless you're not observing. Then I don't know what to tell you.
Chat, what do you what's chat? What's the answer on that? You heard the question. Are any of those dogs still around? All right.
I rest my case. I mean, I don't have to say anything. You guys just need to open your eyes. You guys
All right.
have to be more, people have to be more observant of facts and keep their emotion in the closet, because emotion is not reality, bro. It's the biggest disease and the biggest failure of mankind. When you allow your emotion it to lead your direction, you are guaranteed to fail every single time. You have to use common sense. You have to use common sense making decisions,
All
or
right. So
you
I have
won't
a
succeed
question
at
here.
anything you do.
This is a question. This guy says, "How you take care of your dogs is not always the genetics that kills them."
What is it then?
I agree with that.
No, of course, a dog can get hit
Sometimes
by
you
a
can take
car.
care of your dogs. Do the
A
best.
dog can get hit by a car. A dog can die in on a plane because the temperature shut off and he got to 200. I mean, anything can happen, but not all my dogs are in my care, and yet they're all alive.
All right. Anyways, I don't really want this turning into nothing.
It's gonna
I
turn into nothing because people are gonna get defensive without anything factual. My dogs. Do you want to know what my dogs eat on the most days? Retriever from Tractor Supply. It's the cheapest dog food you can buy.
uh-huh.
When you're feeding that many dogs, you can't feed the best every single day. It's not worth the investment because I already know food doesn't make that big of a difference.
Will you have frozen semen from Magoo available when he passed?
The last two that I want to sell, I sold for 100K a piece already. So when he passes away, I will ship him out. Um, After that, I might sell one more. It is $100,000, but I only have one left that I will sell.
One left. All right, so you go from let's get back to it. So you move from Magoo, you push forward. One of my favorite dogs that you have in Muscle Tone line is Casablanca.
I love that.
How did he come about?
Kaza was bred Magoo to smoke. So it was some Rock and Ruby, Corrupt, and back to Magoo.
Okay, good, good. And so you move forward. Now we have Beanstalk, and you actually speaking of Beanstalk, let's talk about the dog that you just moved to Qatar.
Which one?
What's the story on that dog? And congratulations on that sale.
Which dog that moved to Qatar? You're talking about the one off of Smeagol?
Oh, you froze for a second. I'm sorry. Can you
Or
say
with
that
the
again?
Emirates? You're talking about the
Yes.
dog that went to the Emirates?
Yes.
To the Emirates? Yeah. So that dog is off of Smeagol.
What's
That dog is from Turkey.
what was his stats and how big, the size, and
He
where?
was on the smaller side. Smeagol stuff is small on the smaller side, but still extreme. He was maybe 13 inches. I would say about 65 pounds, which is quite a bit of weight for a 13-inch dog. I mean, I know Beanstalk was around that size, but 103 pounds. But Beanstalk is another level and another price. Big difference in price. But he had a nice head, 24 inches head. That's a big head for that size dog as well. And he was super compact and super correct. Beautiful dog. You guys would love him if you saw him in person.
So what's next? Which direction is Muscle Tone going? And more extreme.
Well, yeah, obviously we're always going more extreme. So I have a few offsprings right now off of Fuse, who I didn't Fuse. I always have an idea what my dog's going to do, but every now and then, like Beanstalk really surprised me. Still surprised me a lot more than any other dog. But Fuse also is surprising me right now. Everything that's coming off of him has these incredible headpieces. Like, just his headpiece is not the most beautiful headpiece. It's not my favorite. His body's incredible, but his headpiece is like could be a little nicer, even though it's huge. But the productions off him are like unreal. I could shoot you some pictures later on if you want to post them up. So far, everything he's produced looks exactly the same and is very consistent. So I'm very impressed with Fuse. Obviously, King Kong has made quite a bit of an impact.
Mhm.
I have a few offers on King Kong too, so we'll see what that happens with that. So the direction I'm going is just to make extreme show dogs. Now it's time to make dogs like Bean, but on a bigger scale, which King Kong was the Kaza, but bigger. A lot of people don't realize it, but Kaza was big for his time, but he was 15 inches, 84 pounds. And what's his name? King Kong is shorter than Kaza by an inch, and he's still just 2 pounds heavier. He's 86 pounds. So you got 2 more pounds and an inch shorter. I know it doesn't sound like a lot to you guys, but being an inch shorter, you're usually at least 5 to 8 pounds lighter if you're the same size dog. In this particular case, he's heavier, and yet he's more clean than Kaza. Has a wider spread than Kaza. So he's a better dog than Kaza. So overall, moves better than Kaza. So breeds a lot better than Kaza.
Coming in a lot. This same question is coming in a lot. A lot of people are asking, where is Casa? Is he still around?
No, Kaza died at 13. I announced it 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago. Yeah, he died in January of 2024.
All right. So you mind if I open this
And
up?
he died of cancer. For all those that are asking, he was put to sleep.
Died of cancer, put to sleep. You mind if I open this up to some questions? And,
Yeah.
See what these people are saying. So if y'all got any questions directly for Bashar, I'm gonna pop those questions on the screen. If they roll too fast, I might miss it. I apologize. Just post it again. I'll try to get them up there. And we'll go from there. A lot of people saying, "Hey man, they really like your chair." Thanks for this live.
Sorry, January of 2025, he passed away. Last year. We're in 26 now. Can't keep my track of my years.
Where you hiding? They said you quit and was smoking rock. Okay, that's not real. Ask Bashar, what was his favorite dog?
My favorite dog
Your favorite dog?
of all time, Stella.
Yeah,
Stella.
Stella. And then you have a follow-up question asking about your favorite three bulls that's outside of your line.
That don't have muscle tone in them at all.
However you want to answer, he just put it out there like that. Yeah, if you want to go with the no muscle tone at all.
I can't think of any dog that doesn't have muscle tone in it that I like off the top of my head. I haven't thought about that. Um Almost everything got muscle tone in it these days, bro. Like, uh, that's a tough one, man. I definitely can't name you three. Maybe one. I think got muscle tone in it too. The one that has the least muscle tone in him that I like is Shere Khan.
Shere Khan.
Yeah,
At what point is it too extreme?
no such thing.
No such.
Well, let me rephrase that. What's your definition of extreme when you say too extreme? Are you saying too big?
Jesse, can you respond to that? What is too extreme for you?
Because I don't think people have the same definition of extreme, which is an issue that we need to discuss too.
Yeah, can we get your definition of it right now?
Mine?
Yes.
Extreme means a dog that's big, wider than tall, big bone, big head, but yet structurally sound. Okay, that's an extreme dog. If he's not structurally sound, it's just a messy dog. And when I say structurally sound, it doesn't mean he can walk in the ring and walk out with a first ribbon. When I say structurally sound, means he's going to be able to move around comfortably, breathe comfortably, and live 12, 13, 14, 15 years at least. That's what that means when I say structurally sound. A dog that has slight easty-westies is not structurally sound, but as long as he's not sitting like this, it's just a little bit, it's not the end of the world. The judges may not like it, but a dog's gonna live a perfectly good life. A dog that has maybe a knot on his tail is not gonna die from that. It's not a freaking disease. It's not the end of the world. A dog that has a slight underbite, overbite, that barely noticeable, it's not something you'd have to open his mouth to see it. It's not gonna die from that. I'm not talking a perfectly show dog. I'm talking about a dog that might have some slight flaws, but is structurally sound. So as long as you can push the dog without the dog falling apart, you can keep pushing it forever. You just have to tweak it slowly. And that's where people go wrong. They don't understand the difference. They don't understand the difference between a handicap and confirmation. Confirmation is just the idea behind someone's head who drew a picture and said, this is what the dog should look like. And I'm willing to bet almost anything I got that the person who did that, and I know exactly who, doesn't know anything about scientifically why the dog should look like that. What he did is he looked at another dog that was a similar breed and he drew a similar picture and he said, well, you just got to make it with more bone, more this, more that. And then later on, when he found out that wasn't going to work, he's like, all right, well, let me go back and adjust it. And I know I'm not talking about Dave. Dave wasn't the one who wrote it. So that's why it got tweaked along the years. They keep saying it never changed, but little information has changed. At a particular time, they used Bean and Kaza measurements to write the standard because they were the closest thing to the ideal looking bully. And since they existed and they were healthy and they did move right, they felt that was the best example of breeding. And I appreciate that he thought that. And they used those measurements to write the standard. And it hasn't changed since. But the picture that they draw, that everyone keeps drawing, and I don't know where they're getting this picture, is very different than the description of what the breed should look like. So the dog should have a square in the front. 99% of the dogs that win nationals have a rectangle in the front. They're not even square, okay? And I don't mean a rectangle this way. I mean a rectangle that way, So that's for me, that's an issue because it does not represent the American bully breed. And the problem is most of these judges don't even know what I'm talking about because they're not old enough to know what I'm talking about. You'd have to ask someone like Ron Ramos or some of the older judges. Another one of the issues is people like, oh, look at this dog move. And I won't mention which dog, which nationals, but there's been a couple dogs of nationals who won whose movement is very clear that the dogs are handicapped. They shouldn't even be bred, nevertheless, to win the nationals. But the judges don't know the difference between, again, conformation and a handicap. They can't seem to tell them apart because they don't see the small things. I could tell you a dog has dysplasia without the dog moving. 9 out of 10, just by looking at the structure of the muscle in its hips. And most people can't do that because they don't have the experience. So I'm not saying that all the judges should know everything, but it reaches a time where you start to realize that the majority of people in the industry know very little to have such big opinions. You can have opinions, anyone can, but their knowledge is much less than they believe it is. They don't realize how much information is out there that they don't even know. They have no idea. They think they've learned everything, but they really haven't. It's not my place to educate people. That's why I don't go online and say shit. It is what it is. But I will tell everyone. And how do you know someone from someone else? It's like it's through their fruit. Look at what they've done. Have they done it? What did they do? Have they done it consistently? Have they kept improving it? Proof is in the works. Okay. I could tell you that I can build a pyramid, but until I build the pyramid, you don't know I can build it. Right? So, and if I build a pyramid and it's half-assed and it falls apart, and I build 5 of them, like, yeah, look at my pyramid. It's so cool. It's got a light at the top of it. But then it falls apart. I can't really build a pyramid. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So I might think I do. Might seem easy. And that's the issue, too. Is a lot of people like, oh, I can do this. This is easy. I'll just put 2 dogs together. I'll show Bashar how it's. I've heard this a million times. People will come to me, buy dogs from me, and go tell people how they're going to take my dogs and outproduce me. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I would be happy if you did. I don't care. That doesn't bother me. I want people who invest in me to succeed. But that mentality already tells me that they failed. They've already failed. That's arrogance. That's like, instead of saying, I'm going to keep asking Bashar until I learn everything I need to learn to finally get to a particular place, they're going to take it, they're going to go, they're going to mix something else with it just so they can outdo me. So it's now we're not talking about someone who's looking to produce better dog. Now we're looking at someone who wants their ego stroked. And if you're chasing ego, you don't got time to make good dogs. Your emotions are in the way.
Are you next question is, are you health testing and do you plan to?
Yes, I health test some, depending on what it is.
Next question is this keeps coming up. Ask about muscle tone bozo. Is that a muscle tone dog?
Yes.
Okay. They want to know about muscle tone bozo. This popped up a lot.
Bozo was a dog I purchased to bring into the mix. I used them a couple of times. I stopped using that strain of dogs because he died at 7. So I didn't continue on with him. I don't breed to dogs or keep their line in my bloodline if they don't exceed the age of 12.
Say that.
I don't breed a line of dogs unless a dog dies by some sort of accident or something. I don't allow that strain of line to continue in my blood or double up on it unless it passes the age of 12. So if I'm having a dog and I'm breeding it, and one day I realize the dog died at a young age, I stop that entire line. I don't everything in it. I just get rid of everything that has it in its blood.
Right now, I have people asking about other dogs. They want to know if you like certain dogs. Are those questions you want to entertain?
What's the question?
Do you like Hallmark?
I don't know who Hallmark is off the top of my head. You have to show me a picture. A lot of dogs I recognize by face and picture, not by name. Sorry.
Also,
I barely remember my own dog's names when I go back there. I got to ask people what my dog's name are. I mean, it's nothing personal, guys. It's just after years of names, your brain's like. Psh.
What's your thought on Veneno blood? That's what people want.
I have no opinion on it. Doesn't it have muscle tone in it? I heard it had muscle tone in it. I'm not too sure. I don't know it. I can't tell you. I don't know it. Is it a bloodline?
Veneno, a bloodline. My
people call their stuff line, but they're not a line. I don't understand that.
My definition of bloodline is a little more strict, kind of along your lines, top, bottom, consistent look over generations.
I mean, it's not my definition. It's like literally the definition of a bloodline. Like even for humans, horses, No matter where you go
Yeah.
look at it, you go look it up, and that's what a bloodline is.
Veneno is a dog that did a lot of breeding and he was popular, so his name carried and people like Veneno.
Kind of like Bax.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I don't know. I remember Veneno, but I don't. It was a nice looking dog. I've never seen the dog in person, but I don't know more than that. I don't follow, so I can't really answer. I'm not sure why people care what I think about other people's dogs. What does it matter what I think? What do you think?
They want your approval.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't help anything.
Who is your most
Let me
extreme
just tell
dog?
everyone now before they ask the question. If you guys want to ask me about someone else's dogs, don't ask me. Ask them about their dogs. They know their dogs. I don't know their dogs. I'm not in their yard. I don't know what they're doing. Okay? And let's just per se, I did know what they're doing. I'm not telling you guys. It's not my business. It's not my story to tell. So it doesn't matter, even if I did know. So if you want to ask me about my dogs or my partner's dogs, I could tell you because I know what we're doing is on us, but I'm not talking about someone else's stuff.
Who's your most extreme dog in your program, franchise included?
Yuki.
Yuki.
Yeah.
So what is Yuki's stats, his frame?
Yuki's spread is 20 inches wide, literally 20 inches, 14 inches in height. He's 108 pounds and his head's 29 inches. And his bone is bigger than my freaking calves.
We got another question. It says, what's your favorite dog that is muscle tone that didn't come off your yard? I believe you answered this earlier. You said Shere Khan, was it?
He has muscle tone in him, the least muscle tone in him. My favorite dog that's not off of my yard that has muscle tone in him is Stax, the one owned by Daniel Groff. I love that dog.
Stax? Oh, yeah, that's
freaking
two X's,
the problem.
right?
Everyone who's seen that dog at shows, I love Daniel, and I tell him all the time, you got to stop driving 3 days with the dog in the car and showing up to a show. People don't understand what that does to a dog. When I traveled with Magoo from here to Italy, I had to fly into Paris, drive from Paris to Rome because they wouldn't let Magoo on the next flight. By the time he arrived to Rome, the dog looked like a rat. Okay, he left here looking like the biggest beast ever, arrived there looking like a rat. This is stress. When your stress levels peak, your estradiol peaks, it crashes your hormone system. It crashes all of your testosterone. And I'm telling you right now, when your testosterone crashes, you shrink like this overnight. This happens to bodybuilders all the time from stress the night before competition. I mean, they completely transform. They go from that's why they eat certain carbs and certain things, and they sleep a lot so that they're rested, so that when they wake up, the water retains in their system. Everything comes out. The water retention goes away, their muscle goes away, everything goes away. And then a dog transforms 10 times faster than a human being when it comes to that. So the dog leaves here looking like this incredible beast, and you're after the show and you don't even recognize him, you know? So that is one of the biggest things. That's why I fly in the day of the show, you know? Still stressful on the dog. He still looks better at home before he leaves, but it's not as bad as 2-3 days in of stress, you know? Panting, not eating, not drinking, you know? That's a lot on a dog. 3 days, you could do a lot of damage to a dog. So that is one of the issues. But if you ever come and see that dog in its presence, the dog is like, conformation-wise, is unbelievable. His conformation is immaculate. He lacks a little bit of bone, not much. He lacks a little bit of bone, in my opinion. But he's a freak of nature. He's under 13 inches. The guys don't realize how short the dog is. He's a freak of nature. His chest is so wide.
Next question is the micro tweaks that you spoke on earlier, and you said it's the key. This person wants to know, is it slowly breed toward the goal or take an exaggerated jump with that breeding?
I didn't hear the first part, sorry.
He's talking about the micro tweaks, trying to get the dog smaller but still functional. He's saying breed slowly or take an exaggerated jump.
Everything is in small steps. You never skip steps. When you skip steps is when everything falls apart. You have to be patient in this game. It took me 26 years. And if you think you're gonna cheat, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. That's number one. Number two, it doesn't matter how tall a dog is. The concept itself doesn't change. The understanding and the structure doesn't change. I think the problem people have is they think the shorter they are, they have to have dwarfism. No. If you have dwarfism, if that's why your dog is short, your dog's not short. It's just a dwarf. Okay? So to shrink a dog, you need to shrink it proportionally. The legs still have to be the proper distance from the foot to the elbow, from the elbow to the shoulder. The distance from one shoulder to the other should still be proportional to the length of the legs and the length of the rear. So all these things still have to be the same so the dog can move properly. I'm not a believer that the dog should be as tall, as long as he is tall. I think that's a very big misconception. I think he should be 10%, 5 to 10% longer than he is tall. That allows better movement, and the dog will live a lot longer because it's easier on his heart because of the skeleton of his rib cage that holds it in place. Again, why I think people who wrote the standards don't know what they're writing. You look up at any breed that is very, very short back, English bulldogs, French bulldogs, Boston Terriers, they don't live a long time. There's a reason for that. And again, it's people not understanding structure. So these are the details that people miss on. Everyone has this thing in their head. I'm gonna blah 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 blah. This image of a statue that somebody made, but that is not what the dog is supposed to be if you want a quality dog, unfortunately.
So next question is, do you inbreed? If so, when and how do you decide the type of inbreeding?
Okay, first inbreeding. Let's just the definition of inbreeding. For me, the definition of inbreeding, and it always has been in the dog world, as it is in the horse world, sheep, cows, chickens, doesn't matter. It's brother and sister. Create two animals from the same exact DNA code, which means if you tested them, you couldn't tell one from the other on a DNA profile from their offsprings, right? So if I bred two brothers to the same female and you pull the blood, according to the lab, they'll be 99.9% from the same sire, okay? You wouldn't be able to tell them apart. That would be inbreeding. When you breed I also will add this, which is not scientific term of inbreeding in the animal world, unlike humans. I will also say a son to the mother is inbreeding, okay? Because the mother carries a particular gene pool that carries a lot of chromosomes that are responsible for most autoimmune issues. For example, dystrophy, astrophies, stuff like that are linked to those diseases, and those break down into another 10 to 12 different issues. So breeding back to that, if the dog had it anywhere in its line, you're most likely going to have issues. Obviously, I don't breed any of those things, but you never know, because also this could cause very often through science have shown that even without the dog carrying any of those diseases, the son back to the mother causes a new mutation that does carry those type of autoimmune diseases. And then you just started something from nowhere. You just created something that's completely bad for you, and you got to start over. So I don't believe in those two. But father to daughter, I don't mind. Now that my line is so tight, I try not to do it so much, but I don't mind it. Half brother and sister, I have no issues with. And yes, I do it all the time. I mean, everything I have is somewhat related one way or another.
No, he's not saying never inbreed. That was one of the questions. One of the questions was, so never inbreed? No.
I never do brothers and sisters from the same litter. And I never do a son to a mother, ever. I've never done it, I never will.
So the
I have
closest
a partner who did it, and he's no longer a partner for doing it.
So the tightest inbreeding you're getting is going to be daughter to father. And the next thing is half siblings.
Correct.
I have a question though about that. How do you feel the impact goes with niece uncle breedings?
Great combination. Probably one of the best you could do to line breed. That's a line breeding. There's a difference between line breeding and inbreeding.
Very true. Very true. All right. So it looked like the questions are starting to slow down. So man, Bashar, man, I'm gonna just let you wrap things up. You got anything you want to say or any note you want to end on? Say you're an open book here today. I appreciate you coming. Thank you for your time. Hey, y'all, man, he's going. So if the questions don't come, I know y'all asking a lot about what he likes and whatnot, but you got a good opportunity to ask him about, some deeper questions and building a program and, how you move forward. Even other questions, I think, like marketing. That's I want to ask that personally. Sure. These questions are from me. How I think your marketing is good, right? I think you cut through the noise in some way, somehow. You're sticking up. You're sticking up like a sore thumb. What's your approach to marketing in this dog game?
What do you mean sticking out through the noise?
No, yeah, you're cutting through the noise and you're sticking out like a sore thumb. So when you post something or you say something, you're being seen and you're being heard. What's your approach to that?
So marketing is marketing. Let's just make that clear from the get go. There's no such thing as bad publicity. I don't like negative publicity. I don't mind when others give me negative publicity. I actually prefer it, because I do know that people strive more. People are, like I said, most people are emotional, not logical, and emotion will always overpower logic. Our president is president because he triggered emotion. He's not because he logically spoke to the people. It's no different with anyone else. We are always triggered by emotion. You're probably with your spouse because of emotion, not logic. You didn't sit there and say, well, she's a good addition to the family. No, no, no. There's an emotion, there's attraction, love, something. So we make decisions on a daily basis based on emotion. I try to, when you said cut to the noise, that to me, that's what that means. That means I cut off the emotion from the situation and I sit back and I look at it. And I allow that to help me promote. I've mentioned this before many times. I reached a point where I even wondered if I told people that what they're doing when they hate on me is actually helping me, if they would stop or continue even more. And I did it. I said, you know what? I'm going to tell them. I'm going to tell them literally how much it helps me to keep doing it. And I want to see if they stop. And they even did it more. They did it even more. And that was a test for me. It was literally my own test. I wanted to see how bad and how deep are these emotions. And they're deep. And the opposite of love is not hate, my friend. You have to love someone to hate them. You do. You have to love someone to hate them. You cannot hate someone. You can despise someone. You can despise. Like, there's people like out there, like in politics, who are doing some evil things that I despise. I despise them. I don't hate them. Hate requires a lot of love and emotion. I'm indifferent about them. So if they were to pass away tomorrow, I don't talk about anyone who passed away. God bless their soul. I wouldn't shed a tear. I wouldn't feel bad. When I hear about strangers that I've never met, like a friend might say, my buddy just passed away, I cry because my friend is hurting. And I know that, and then my brain automatically goes to like, oh man, this guy had a family. His family is hurting. But there are people I'm indifferent about, I despise. So if they were to pass away, I won't talk about it. Like, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? Because I know they're evil people. So the opposite of love is not hate. It's indifference, right? Very famous author she wrote a book about the Holocaust, and she explained that people didn't care about them because they were indifferent if they died or lived. It's not that they hated them. So that being known, when people hate on me, it doesn't bother me. It's because they admire me. They're envious, they're jealous, they feel that they are better than me and they should be in my position instead of me being in that position, or whatever it is. And back in my head, I'm like, they don't know what I had to go through to get here, because everything looks different from social media, from the outside in. There's a lot that went on to get here. A lot of sacrifices, a lot of losses, and a lot of pain. But obviously, it paid off at the end. But it could have not paid off. I could have just lost. God blessed me. So I got to thank Him for that. So, and I don't let that bother me. So instead, I guide it. I let it go on for a bit. And when I see that it's about to slow down, I kind of throw wood in the fire, I'll make a respectful post,
Yeah.
And I let people see the truth. I don't lie. I don't like lying. You lie, you get caught lying one time, that's it. You lie. I have people who send me millions of dollars knowing they're going to get their dog a year, 2 years from now, depending how long the process takes to get them. Trust me with that kind of money. I lie one time, I get caught lying one time, my business is done. Who's going to trust me? I wouldn't trust someone I know lies. I wouldn't give someone I know lies $1 million, 100 grand. No. Even if I know you and you're an investor and you say to me, hey, give me $500,000, man. I'm gonna run your money, and I know you, and I know you cheat on your wife, for example. There's no freaking way I'm giving you 500 grand. You can't even be loyal to the mother of your kids. You want me to give you 500 grand? You're out your mind. So I judge people based on that. I don't judge you for what you're doing. This is your business. It doesn't concern me. But I'm not going to give you 500 grand because you're not a trustworthy person. I'm judging you for your character. So I can't lose it. So I don't lie. So when I go make a post, I tell it how it is. I tell the truth. That's how it is. You don't like it. You don't like it. You take the time to look at it and see that it's true, which logical people do. And the majority of people who come to me are logical, and I only want to deal with logical people. It keeps drama out of my life. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because drama is attracted to drama. So yeah, I fuel the fire a little bit, but I do it politely and respectfully. I don't talk bad. I don't break down another dog and say blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? And I said as a whole, I never mention who it is or what it is. I let you guys figure that out on your own. And so yes, the hate helps me market all the time. It's very good for me. It has worked very, very good for me. Took me a minute to figure it out. But once I realized the more they hated, the more I sold dogs. I was like, let them hate. I mean, they photoshopped a picture of Kaza. They stretched him out and made him look high in the rear. They did the same thing. They did an AI video of King Kong. An ABKC judge did it because he didn't like what I said about his judging. And I didn't even say anything bad. I just said, I don't agree with the choice. But I'm not the judge. That's literally what I said. And this guy photoshops AI's a video of King Kong in the ring and makes him look bad. When I have plenty of live videos I was able to post to prove it was wrong. But you guess what? The video went viral because he AI'd it. Because everybody wanted to see something negative. But it helped me. When they photoshopped Kaza and made that post on Debatable, I got just about $1 million for Kaza for that video picture. People were like, oh my God, look at the bone on him. Truth is, his bone wasn't that big. They stretched him out and made his bone look bigger. I didn't make that picture. They did.
Right.
So, yeah. So the people flew in from Taiwan. They're like, I got to see this dog. Look at this bone. And they saw him. And like, oh, his bone is not as big as the picture, but it's big. I was like, yeah, because they stretched the dog to make him look bad. But then they saw the dog in person. Like, okay, we got to buy this dog. So, You know what I mean? And they've helped me out a lot. And it's not the first time. I had a client show up at my house one time at 11 o'clock at night, who's a good friend of mine now. This is years ago. And a person I thought was a friend, he went to their house to buy a $500 bully from them. And they were talking shit about me. I thought they were a friend of mine. They were talking shit about me so much that this guy goes, what does this guy keep talking about? And he went online and showed him my dog on my website. And when he saw my dogs on his website, he didn't want his dogs anymore. So he left his car, went on the website on his phone, called me up, said, can I come see your dog right now? Do you have any puppies for sale? I said, yeah. Shows up at my house. I got in my jammies, got dressed, downstairs to show him dogs. He spent 20 grand with me. The next day, I sent him flowers, chocolate, and everything in that guy's house. I said, thank you. We didn't even know what I was thanking him for. And people don't realize, like when you hate on me and you put pictures of my dogs trying to make them look bad or whatever it is that you're trying to do, people don't see what you see. What you're seeing with your envious heart. People see differently. Normal people see differently. And I count on God's guidance with that, They just, I wish nobody else no evil and let God guide things. So God will redirect things. Does that mean everybody's going to see them? No. Some people will see it and believe them. But those people are bad to the core to start with. They have issues themselves. So I don't want those people in my life anyways. I don't want them as clients. They're a headache. Look at all the drama people have with their clients. Yeah, I get problems here and there with some customers, but very rarely, maybe 5 in a lifetime, and I have thousands of customers. So it's not, you get the right clientele.
So sticking with the marketing thing. So you have a question that says, can you give any tips on how to advance and expand your kennel?
Marketing wise?
Yes.
Well, I pretty much, guys, gave you a very brief concept of how to market. One, don't lie. Don't lie to people. That's very important. You got to build trust. Okay, be honest. There's too many people out there who are not honest. I know so many people who come to me who got robbed by breeders, big name breeders. I don't mention names. Listen. Anyone can make a dog that has something wrong with it. It can happen. Okay, it can happen. do the right thing. Replace the dog
Right.
with a better dog or equivalent at the least. Okay. Don't make the customer feel like he has to wait for your worst dog just because you have to sacrifice something for him. No, he already paid you. Make it right. Put him priority over the next customer. That's very important. You want to build your reputation, because word of mouth is your number one thing. Almost all my customers are repeat customers. 99% of them are repeat customers. They come back for more. They send their friends. They send their family. You know. Let me check the gate. Yeah. So that's very important. The other thing, marketing wise, is you have to show up to shows with your dog. This social media stuff, hiding behind the board, like some people did back in the mid 2000s. Let me check the camera. Oh yeah, that's the gate. Like they did it back in the mid 2000s, and that doesn't work anymore. Okay, we have AI, we have Photoshop, we have all that. Too many people have been played. No one's buying into that shit no more. So show up to the shows, take your dogs out. Look, I'm about to take King Kong for a Euro tour. He's already been to South America. He's already been to Canada. I mean, Beanstalk went around. Bean went around. Kaza went around. Magoo went around. Cloud went around. I mean, every dog has traveled the world. I've taken every dog everywhere. So when everyone's talking their crap, what are you guys doing? Are you seeing the dog? Everyone's seen my dogs. They've put their hands on them. They've stacked. They never refused a challenge. So get out there. Do your thing. You can't just expect shit to just come through your door if you don't put in the footsteps. And yeah, it costs money, but there's no other way. That's how you have to do it. The other one is, when you make your post, make positive posts and stay out drama and negativity. People see it. People see it. I will never do business with someone I seen post dramatic shit online. People who post like, oh, why would you do this? Or blah, 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 or blah, blah, or try to instigate problems. I don't care how amazing their dog is. I'm not doing business with them. That's character. Character is very important. Be positive.
Next thing for you, Bashar. Have you ever sold a dog or a pup that you wanted back?
Come on in, brother. What's that?
Have you ever sold a dog or a puppy that you wanted back?
Yeah, I bought dogs back.
Oh,
plenty of dogs back. I bought dogs back for 3 times what I sold them for. Yeah, it happens. It happens. And I've sold dogs because I gave my word, and then I'm like, damn, can I buy them back? And they said no, and it was what it was. I didn't buy them back. Just never got to keep them. How are you? It happens. I'm just like you guys, bro. I make mistakes.
But you make it right, though. You see that dog, you bring it back in.
I try. Yeah. So.
All right. Cool.
Guys.
Will you be using Smeagol with any of your dogs here in the U.S.?
I've used Smeagol. There's plenty of Smeagol in my yard right now. You guys are not paying attention. I had 3 Smeagol litters last year.
How many?
And the year before. 3 last year and 2 the year before. There's plenty of Smeagol in my yard. I can't read nothing. Yeah. You guys are not paying attention. How many? 10? Both. Guys, I gotta end this live. I got a client. I gotta take care of things. All right, guys?
Appreciate your time, Bashar, man. Thank you for coming on, man. It's a pleasure.
Later. See you guys. Bye-bye.
Take care. All righty. Well, there we have it. He's off. I'm not too far behind. Man, y'all had a whole lot of crazy questions going on when we was having a nice conversation. That man opened that floor up. Oof. Questions kind of slowed down a little bit, man. But anyways, I appreciate everybody for tapping in, man. Give me a like, give me a follow. And as always, man, Pet Talks, we out, brother. Appreciate y'all.
He don't see no, Stino and Fino. He don't see no, Stino and Fino. step head talk. Step head talk.